Hello, Internet! Welcome to episode 186 of the Assorted Calibers podcast, the second rate podcast. There's a little bit for everyone. I'm Weer'd, and tonight it's an ACP Roundtable. And so our lovely hostess, Erin Paulette, is on assignment. I said, Erin, if you want, you can take the day off. She's like, yeah, it's been a day. I'll take the day off. Normally when she steps up, she's like, would it be okay? This time, no. She says, thank you. So in her stead, we have David.
What has been heard cannot be unheard without a copious amount of alcohol.
And we have Oddball.
I just always love seeing how long Discord just gives up during that intro of yours.
Oh yeah, he peaks it every time.
Yeah.
That's why I record it locally. But yeah, no, it always sounds like crap when it's being recorded on the other end.
Oh, it just goes to silence.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, your voice rises and then cuts out and then comes back.
It is my distinctive intro.
I just think you should use the Hans recording for a blooper reel.
I mean, that we could do.
Like, hello, Internet.
So how you
that
guys
would be
been?
Funny. Kind of sucky.
Other than Saturday, I've been doing decently. Saturday, my body decided it was time to just smash that purge button and keep hitting it.
Yeah, so there were a whole bunch of little tiny masked people going and hacking up his insides.
Yeah. The good news is the flapper in my master bedroom bath, it was leaking because there had been some accumulated gunk on the flapper.
That's where you do your master bathing?
Sure.
Well, it's the master bathroom. That's where you do. Yeah. That's where you bathe. That's their master bathing.
Flushing the toilet about 150 times in a day seems to have cleaned that gunk off, and it works properly now. So there's that. That's good.
Well, just think that's good practice for your colonoscopy prep.
There you go.
I believe that Weer'd and I have both gone through that.
I have not. You
have not? I thought you did have to have a clean out for some.
No, I never have. My mom has. My mom's had colonoscopies since probably about my age. Because my
45.
My grandmother had
where they used to want you to start.
My grandmother had demonstrated some risk factors, but my mom didn't get those. So I am in the clear for any early colonoscopy. So it'll just be whenever my doctor says so. I'll be like, fine. At least I get to get really high, and I get to poop. I get to poop for hours and hours.
The colonoscopy itself is fine. They knock you out. You wake up. You're good. It's the prep. Mm-hmm. Basically, take what Oddball just reported and dial it up to 11 for about 24 hours prior to exam. You might want to consider installing a seatbelt on your.
Dialing that up to 11. There won't be anything left of me. There was barely anything left of me on Saturday.
I definitely pooped myself into a new wardrobe today. I think.
Ron White. You ever take a crap so big that you went down a belt size?
As we all have to remind ourselves, wait, this is a round table, not a mag dump.
Yep. But yeah, no, it's funny. Like, it's one of those, like, if I didn't know any better, like, we would think that we were in like the same general area, and we hang out face to face frequently because this weekend, my daughter, she was feeling a bit I don't even say under the weather. I wasn't sure what was going on. Friday, she declined to eat dinner, which is out of character, but not horribly out of character for her. And then Saturday, she was just kind of in a funk. She complained. Well, so my wife calls me. I'm downstairs editing podcasts, and my wife says, "Hey, can you come up?" And I'm like, "What's up?" And she had the serious voice and came up, and she's like, "Well, she says she's cold and she has a headache and she feels a little bit dizzy." And I went, "Oh," which is interesting, except for she's wearing a summer nightgown. It's 8 degrees outside and the house is chilly, and she's been doing handstands all morning. Like literally I'm editing film tracks and I think I was doing the mag dump, but either way, I was editing some shows, and all I could hear is the thump, the thump, the thump, the thump, the thump, the thump of her running across the living room and doing a handstand. And so it's one of those, like, you might be
really good. She didn't have an incident while doing a handstand.
Yeah. Well, she actually
real messy cleanup.
She's actually using the couch to steady her, so she'll do the handstand, and so she can kind of press back on the couch just a little bit, and it'll allow her. If she falls one way, she can catch herself with her feet. She falls the other way, she catches herself on the couch. But
when you're doing that kind of stuff, you can always catch yourself with your head.
Yes, that would be bad. But yeah, so I'm just saying, like, okay, you're doing flips and stuff, so you might cause dizziness. You are not dressed appropriately for this weather, so that would address the chilliness, and all of these things get added to headache. But it turned out, come 12:30 in the morning or thereabouts, 12:20, we're hearing retching in the bathroom.
Yay!
Yeah.
Better retching in the bathroom than retching in her bed at 3 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was definitely it. Was like, I'm half asleep. My wife woke up for I don't even know exactly what happened, but my wife woke up first, and I'm just like, and she was like saying, "Can you go get the thermometer so we can check her temperature?" And I'm hearing her hork. I'm like, "But where is she throwing up?" She's throwing up in the toilet. Okay. But yeah, so she barfed like a champ. And then she barfed like a champ, and then the very next day, she was fine. Like she went right back to sleep, and she got up a second time, but she went back to sleep, got up the next day, and she's fine. And like, we went ice skating. So yeah, I don't know what the story is. And then today,
the resilience of youth.
Yes, today I am scoured clean, but I think some of that might have had to do with my buffalo chicken salad that I had for breakfast.
Oh, I was pretty much that way. I was fine on Sunday, except for a bit dehydrated, and I ended up sleeping a good portion of the day because my sessions started at about 2 a.m. Friday, and it meant that I didn't get any sleep at all on Saturday. So, yeah, it was she ate something that decided that didn't agree with her. She had a stomach virus or something. Her body decided, I'm getting rid of this now.
Mm-hmm.
But you said that with this latest bout, Panya was unaffected.
Correct. Well, I mean, it's one of those things of I may have had a piece of meat that got cross-contaminated with something, or something where
somebody sneezed on your salad.
Right. Yeah.
Intentionally.
And again, my body
two large cheeseburgers. They're for a cop.
Ooh, Babylon B. San Francisco Walgreens introduces new frequent looter rewards punch card.
Oh.
Damn.
I mean, it only seems fair.
I think they should just start giving out city council member addresses and house keys. Just have like a keyboard in the store. Here's the key. Here's the tag with the name and address of the city council member. You should go and thank them personally.
All right. Well, shall we dive into our roundtable?
Sounds good to me.
Sure.
We're discussing all. Needs to say, all of us had busy and disjointed weekends, so our the segments did not arrive. I think Xander's feeling even worse under the weather. He's really been having his butt kicked in this cold, icy weather on the farm. So
I know.
So yeah, so we decided to do it with him. But I'm like, all right, well, let's do a mag dump. I think it'll be easier for, not a mag dump, a round table. I think it'll be better for all of us. But I'm like, what do we talk about? Well, we could talk about SHOT Show. And I'm like, but we just got done recording a mag dump and where we talked about SHOT Show. So we will try not to rehash too much of that, because first up, our lovely supporters on Patreon who paid for the mag dump don't need to be listening to reruns. And
plus, it's a special thing for the Patreon. So if we give it Patreon special stuff away for free, what does that do for the fans?
Yes. And lastly, I don't want to talk about the same stuff over again.
Well, there's that too.
Especially since also I just got done a handgun radio where we talked about some handgun related stuff. So there's cool stuff to talk about, but we're not going to go too deep onto it. Though I will have to say, I've got a couple of political notes that I wanted to put up on the top. One,
you and your political stuff.
I like political stuff, but no, this is the standard, like, ever so slightly nonpartisan political stuff. I did want to state, I did talk about this on the mag dump, but I think it's worth talking about for the general show as well, is that Pennsylvania, we mentioned in the last show that Pennsylvania had constitutional carry headed to the governor's desk, and the governor did what he said he would do. Yes, and I speculated, I thought that this might happen, but I also speculated that it was since it was a Republican led bill, it was presented by Republicans, were the sponsors. But it was absolutely not a partisan vote. There was bipartisan support within this. So even though it is an L on the board, so to speak, I gotta say, it's like I said in last week, it's no small task for Pennsylvania to get this up there. And guess what? You can also get it back up again, and either it will gain support as more and more people get used to the idea of constitutional carry and more states pass constitutional carry, because there's a whole bunch of other states that are pushing it through, as Aaron mentioned last week. So as more states, like it's going to be very soon, like maybe even 2022 is the year where we're going to go to over 50% of the United States has constitutional carry.
Yeah. I mean, I see, even if we don't go to 26 states, I find it hard to believe we won't hit 25 this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And either way, also, given the nature of the states that do that, it's also way more than 50% of the U.S. landmass already has constitutional carry.
Yeah.
Now, especially Alaska. I forgot about Alaska.
Yeah.
I forgot about I was thinking lower 48, but like with Alaska's kind of been screwing up the grading curve ever since the start.
So has Rhode Island on the other end of the scale.
Yes.
But Texas passed permitless carry, did they not?
I believe so.
Did they?
Right.
I thought they had.
I thought they had.
They have campus carry and they have open carry.
I thought they had.
Let's see.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. September 1st, 2021.
Okay.
So, Texas, second most populated state in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is pushing more seriously from what I've read and from what Aaron mentioned in the latest episode.
Well, Ron DeSantis has said he would back it, which will put a little bit of wind in the sails.
Right. I mean, we also know that the pro-gun legislatures have a knack of seizing defeat from the jaws of victory. But let's just play a little what if here. Let's say that this legislative session, they do actually get something through, not constitutional carry, but permitless carry. That would be 2 of the 4 most populated states in the country. And combine that, let's say we reach the magic number of 26 states. So 26 states, including Florida and Texas, we'd be looking at I don't know the exact breakdown, but we'd be looking at a good chance of over 50% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Texas and Florida. And California is the largest, and well, New York is trying to make itself the 5th largest.
That also helps a lot with this really strange effect that so many people think that their state is how the whole world is. Hence the reason why.
Or city.
Yeah. Hence the reason why you will often hear news reporters and all that ask somebody, was the gun registered? When the number of locations in the United States where you could even register a gun if you wanted to.
Oh, the number of times someone who's recently moved to Tennessee comes into the store to ask about registering their firearms. And yeah, just what you're saying is we don't do that here. I don't understand.
And I, beyond that, my mom, who lived her entire life either here or Michigan, where there's kind of sort of a pistol registry in Michigan, but yeah. But most of her life in Tennessee, she would occasionally ask me, well, isn't it really expensive to have all the guns you own registered? And then be shocked when I told her, no, there's not a registry.
Now, did Michigan at one point have a handgun registry?
Yeah, so...
Is this one of those...
Sort of.
No?
Sort of. They have... let's hear it. At one point, they had a permit to purchase handguns. And I believe they've gotten rid of that. And then and for a while they had... Well, okay, when you bought your handgun, you had to bring it in to have it safety checked. And now I think they kind of sort of still have some form of handgun registry, but it's because like when I gave my dad a
I'm sorry that I've
pistols,
my question caused you so much aggravation.
Well, I mean, part of it is it's complicated, and I haven't actually lived in Michigan since I got into guns,
right?
So, it's
complicated. We're talking about firearm laws. That's the intent.
Well, yeah. And it was something like, just to be on the up and up, we looked into it, and he had to send in a sheet of paper to the state at no cost, and it wasn't like it wasn't like they actually did any follow-up on it or anything like that. So, yes, it still exists. Is it really worth anything? I'd say no.
Yeah, I wasn't asking if it was still in place. I thought I had heard, and apparently I was correct, that at some point they did.
Well, and it's one of those things of, there's that meme that constantly goes around every year or two that the X most dangerous cities in the country all have the strictest firearms laws, and they always include Detroit in that list. And no, Detroit really doesn't have particularly strict firearms laws.
They also will sometimes include Memphis, which doesn't have anything stricter than the state, as far as I'm aware.
Correct. I don't think they can.
Well, there's black letter law that says they can't.
Yeah.
It's just like the city of Knoxville said, okay, Chilhowie Park is not a park unless there's a gun show going on. Then park is in the name, so they can't have a gun show in the rec center.
Right. Or when the guns in parks bill got passed, the lawyer for the city of Nashville said, well, we'll still be able to ban carrying at the amphitheater downtown, even though it's on park property, because the law talks about a place of recreation, and I don't really think of going to a concert as recreation. Yes, he actually said that going to a concert is not a form of recreation.
What is it? Educational, public service?
I didn't try to look. I didn't try to figure out his reasoning before I started smelling toast.
Yeah, because that way lies madness. Because holy smokes.
Yeah.
Okay. Weird. Have you seen any of the episodes of The Witcher?
No.
Okay, but Oddball, that last noise you made
Yes.
is usually followed by The Witcher, by Geralt, with a word that we do not say on roundtables, but we do say frequently on Magdums.
Yes.
Fudge.
Yes, that's the one. And somebody put together, I think it's like a 12-minute video from season 1 of every time that Geralt said, or fudge. But that has nothing to do with why we're here tonight.
Yes. But either way, congratulations to Pennsylvania. Like, hopefully
Good try, very good try. They carried the ball further than they have in the past.
Exactly, and it's going in the right direction. Honestly speaking, like, I'd never actually sat down and really broken down what this country looks like as far as constitutional carry goes, and was like, oh yeah, like especially like Alaska and Texas. That's like what 70% of the land mass that our country
I don't think
owns?
it's quite that much, but it's a good chunk.
I'm sorry, 97%.
No.
It's like the scene with the astronaut. It's all Ohio, always has been.
Aww. But it was just a Oddball. You might know more about this. How long did it take to actually get permit carry in Tennessee? They finally got that in '96. How many years of trying?
Honestly, I don't know how many years of serious effort it took.
I thought I had read somewhere it was like 89 to 91 was where they really got serious about
it. It wouldn't surprise me.
So at least, going on the low end, at least 5 years of serious effort to get any form of permitted carry.
Right, and before that, it was just straight up illegal for Joe Blow citizen to carry.
Illegal or Old Boy Network.
Well, I mean, if you want to
we like Jim, so we're going to make him an unofficial deputy.
If you want to include Old Boy Network, by Old Boy Network, if you've got a good enough network, you could chop someone up and throw them in a ditch, and it would be fine.
Or leave them to drown in a car that you drove off a bridge.
Exactly.
Not that anyone's ever done that.
Yeah,
because that would be wrong.
That's never happened.
But anywho, but yeah, good for Pennsylvania. That is a very, very good step forward.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, there's been a bunch of states where we've seen it where it's struggled through legislature and then passed through legislature and gotten vetoed, and that's happened a couple times. And finally, either the governor finally relents and signs it, or
veto-proof majority.
They get replaced, or veto majority, or something like that.
So looking at the show notes, I guess you're going to want to talk about the next item on that list.
The other political note that I wanted to talk about here is that the filibuster has been shot down. But wait a second, Weird. This is not a mag dump where sometimes we talk about entirely unrelated politics. No, Weird. This is one of those ones where we talk about Second Amendment politics. What does the filibuster have to do with Second Amendment politics?
Tell us, Weird.
In the too long didn't read category, it doesn't. Not even a little bit. Why am I bringing it up? Because
it allows you to tell a long meandering story?
No. You're a jerk.
Good answer.
Well, I'm glad that this is a round table, so you can't give me your usual response, because that would make more work for you.
Yes. But you son of a fudge.
Beep.
No. But yes, the Brady campaign had a campaign where it was called "The Filibuster is Killing Us," and they were all rambling about the filibuster being used to defeat gun control that was being pushed through, when in fact all gun control had just been killed in committee by Democrats, who were the party that were
Dun.
presenting that and were the party in control. And so, yeah, this is really just me just chiding specifically the Brady campaign, because I will also note that the Brady campaign has a podcast. It's called Red, Blue, and Brady. And
so they're no longer just Brady. They went back to Brady campaign.
There's something else too. I call them the Brady campaign because that's their name. But
I know they changed it to just Brady when Giffords changed to Giffords.
Yes.
And
Yep. Pretty much the exact same time. And I believe it is called now
Brady United.
Brady United, yes, or Brady United Against Gun Violence. I love it. I'm on the Wikipedia page. Brady United Against Gun Violence, formerly Handgun Control Incorporated, the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence.
So the usual, we have lots of different names because we're trying to touch everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course I have my
not like an angel, but like a clown.
I have my feeling. I have my feelings that when both Giffords and Brady both changed their name, I mean, Giffords was Americans for Responsible Solutions, and they merged with the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, and then the Brady campaign just became Brady, and they both took on mononyms for names, and then they also got these like really like candy colored logos, and they did this like within like a month or two of each other, and
pure coincidence.
And also at the same time, both groups were not very good at playing well with each other, and now.
Like, and suddenly, all of a sudden,
half the time, these guys are working like on a joint stage with Brady, Giffords, and Everytown, and / Moms Demand Action. All that we know about.
I still think that sounds like a Pornhub category more than a political action.
They deserve it. But Michael Bloomberg paid a lot of money for that name.
Because probably he wanted some action.
Yeah, well, he has a reputation, but yeah. So again, it's always been my theory that Michael Bloomberg created the Trace and made it a point that like, oh no, it's not like an Everytown subsidy group, but it was Michael Bloomberg who started an endowment that created the funding for the Trace, and so. They've gone through and go like, but it is created and somewhat owned by Michael Bloomberg at every time. And so I think like my thought was, well, he keeps creating these groups like Moms Demand Action. Like there was the whole big statement about it being like, just a lowly Facebook group. But it's one of those like, nobody saw that Facebook group or all that. Like it only was the Michael Bloomberg thing. It's not like, it was really given an opportunity to grow large enough to garner the respect of Michael Bloomberg and such. It just, it just pretty much just showed up and immediately was part of Everytown. But the whole plan was to make it seem like, this is a completely separate organization, except it's not. And Shannon Watts, the quote unquote founder of it, has a very, very suspicious employment history, and the fact that she was doing essentially the exact kind of work that would take for someone to create a group like Moms Demand Action, and then just disappeared for about 6 months, only to reappear after the Parkland shooting. So I strongly suspect that Michael Bloomberg was trying to create a brand that didn't have his name onto it, because if anybody watched his presidential campaign, Michael Bloomberg's name isn't worth a whole lot, no matter how much money he throws at it. So how could he do that? How I would do it is find a group that pre-exists your launch to gun control, and find one that's also financially hurting, which is all of them, and discharge their debt for a very quiet position on the board of directors.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've noticed with a lot of the both pro and anti-gun groups, but more so I've seen with anti-gun groups, is emotional exhaustion. The pro-gun groups I see have a lot less of this, because shooting is fun. The shooting sports are fun. The camaraderie the social aspect of shooting is very fun and rewarding and enjoyable. Whereas with the anti-gun groups, you can only really perpetuate a certain level of strong negative emotions before people just walk away. Not the upper echelon, either true believers or snake oil salesmen, but the average people, the average members of a group. Because I've known several people who were involved with one of the anti-gun groups at one time or another, and they got tired of the negativity. Mm-hmm. So I think that is one of the reasons why. Well, that and the progressives can't.
Yeah, but either way, that's going through. And of course, currently the Brady campaign, they have their own podcast, and I'm a listener to it because it's hilarious.
So you're like what, 1/12 of their audience?
I don't even know how to look up the informatics for it anymore, but yeah, they don't get a whole heck of a lot of pull, and I've got to imagine a good chunk of it is pro-gun people trolling. But boy, like they are already on their second podcast in a row that has not talked at all about gun rights or just given just a little bit of lip service to guns and gun control. And it's just been pure politics. They had one on QAnon, and very ironically, the guest they had on to be an expert talking about QAnon's last name was Rothschild. Dead serious.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna have to throw a penalty flag on that play.
Well, and he led with, when he was talking about conspiracies, he mentioned the Rothschild banking family, and he says, which I am not part of, and then he told a whole bunch of stuff that was demonstrably untrue, and so it's one of those like, okay, you're gonna lie this whole podcast, but this one you're telling the truth on. It was also like I highly recommend the QAnon one. Like if you've got any tolerance for people being silly and unironically silly, I will just tell you, first up, it's a Rothschild doing all the talking. And second, he's talking about the wild conspiracy theories that are QAnon. And he is making like wild conspiracy theories and leaps to try to tie entirely disparate events together to make it a point.
Oh, like the meme of the guy with the board with all the red yarn on it?
Mm-hmm, exactly. Like, he's making the point that, like, you know, QAnon worships Trump, but also it's above Trump and you know, they could turn on Trump and it would, you know, that's not ironic or anything. But at the same time, like, okay. And like some, you know, crazy person here stabbed his brother with a sword, and he also was like on QAnon boards. What does that have to do with anything?
You know, Hitler drank water.
Exactly.
So did Trump.
Yeah.
So what else do they have in common?
So I highly recommend that. And of course, the latest one, which was not as interesting or uplifting, was on anti-Semitism and in America, which they talked a little bit about the well, it wasn't really a shooting, was it? The armed man that walked into the synagogue in Texas.
Oh, the hostage situation?
Yeah. He didn't actually shoot anybody, did he?
Not as far as I remember reading.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There was one story that said that he was clocked by the rabbi with a folding chair.
Yeah, I've heard that, but
I haven't had any kind of confirmation. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
but I also find it rather unlikely.
I know nobody was killed in that event, including the killer. And
I thought the killer was
he killed?
Yeah,
I thought so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's room temperature.
Right, which is why, nice as it sounds, I didn't think the rabbi beat him to death with a chair.
And of course, I've known. Well, I won't get into political stuff. So,
yep.
Yes.
Moving right along.
Yes, Texas synagogue siege. Let's see. Guy was from Britain. I believe he had some ties to terrorist groups, and he is he is a good terrorist. If he is in fact a terrorist, he's a good terrorist now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so yeah, but again, I just wanted to really just stick my thumb in the eye of the Brady campaign because they deserve it on the fact that they are just they've much like the NRA, they have lost sight of their goals, and
their mission is
we must caution ourselves on that. So moving into, let's see, mixed bag of politics. Do you want to take this one, David?
Do I want to take it? I feel I'm obligated to take it. So this is New York State Legislature Assembly Bill 8684, which is summarized as prohibits firearms in certain locations, including but not limited to all forms of public transportation, large gatherings, and food and drink establishments. Basically is, we're going to lose the Supreme Court case, so we're going to make it impossible to carry anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the now I just want to point out is somebody had mentioned that it looked like it didn't exempt law enforcement. By its very nature, it does, since it mentions Section 400, which is the pistol carry licensing section of the law. Officers carry under their badge, so that's not part of it. But knowingly has in his or her possession a rifle, shotgun, or firearm in or upon the following locations. Clarification for people who live in America. In New York State, rifles are rifles, shotguns are shotguns, handguns are firearms.
Yeah. Because sure, why not?
Because that makes plenty of sense.
Uh-huh. Any form of public transportation, including but not limited to railroads, ride-sharing services, paratransit services, whatever those are, subways, buses, air travel, taxis, or any other public transportation service, food and drink establishments, or large gatherings, which for the purposes of this section shall mean a gathering together of 15 or more persons for amusement, athletic, civic, dining, educational, entertainment, patriotic, political, recreational, religious, social, or similar purposes. Criminal possession of a firearm is a Class E felony. So if you invite 14 people over for a dinner party, no one can have in their possession a firearm, if this law would. Nice, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I do want to point out that this bill, I don't know the actual date the bill was introduced, but it was referred to the codes section of the Assembly on January 10th, and there it has languished. There has been no further action on this bill. There is no co-sponsor of the bill, and there is no Senate equivalent. So this is I think, a spaghetti against the wall bill.
Yeah.
Well,
however,
that's good, and we can carry on with the good news. Is, hey, David, why on earth would they go to the trouble to write such a monstrosity as this bill?
Because NYSERDA versus New York State is going to be decided soon. And from all of the rumblings, because of course we can't know how the justices are actually going to vote until it's counted. But from all of the rumblings, the pro-Second Amendment majority on the Supreme Court are looking to slap New York on the back of the hand.
And another key point that Aaron discovered, and like her and I sat down for just 20 minutes, just randomly clicking on amicus curiae letters that were written, or I don't know what the exact term for
submitted.
Yes, submitted.
I did that at the very beginning, and at that point it was like 97% in favor of NYSERDA.
I think it's 100. Certainly I went.
There were a couple that were neutral.
Oh, that's true.
And at that time, I think there was one that supported the state, and I think it was another state.
Yeah, but I do know for a fact that every time Brady and Giffords have not weighed in on this at all.
Really? They've given it a good leaving alone?
They're giving it a very, very good leaving alone. And essentially there is, like David, you're having a hard time going, I think it was another state. Like you can't even remember exactly who was in favor of.
Well, I mean, admittedly, it was a few months ago, and I I was just kind of going through. But anyway, you were telling a story that actually was moving forward at a reasonable pace.
Aaron and I essentially went through it. Essentially, every time we clicked over on one, it was a positive amicus. There's not really any easy way to search it to see who's pro and who's against. So I've got to say that and
some of the people who submitted amicus curiae briefs was like, "Ooh, that's going to sting."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, was there any demographic not represented in the briefs submitted on behalf in favor of NYSERPA? We had Operation Blazing Sword Pink Pistols. We had Chris Chang's Pacific. I forget the name of his organization.
Yeah,
Asian and Pacific or something. I forget. But Asian gun owners. We had the black gun owners. I thought there was at least one more ethnic group or religious group. I know the Jews for Preservation of Firearms Ownership were in there. And it was really a rainbow coalition, if you will,
mm-hmm.
of pro-gun briefs.
There were a couple that filed in support for New York.
Support of the state? Yeah. Yeah, I thought that came later, and they're not many.
Yeah.
Such as?
Do you have I want to say the ACLU.
The National, I would believe that.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I had heard that. I mean, that's, the big joke is, of course, that, the American Civil Liberties Union is in favor of all of our civil rights except for the right to keep and bear arms.
I have seen, absolutely, they've posted on their official Twitter page that the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, is racist and needs to be gotten rid of.
But
now the interesting thing is, I'm pretty sure it was Texas. When Texas was either the permitless carry bill or the sword carry bill. I know it's not called that, but that's how I think of it. And the state ACLU came in on the side of liberty, because there's state and federal, and it's generally the federal ACLU is protect every right except the right to keep and bear arms, whereas the states are a little bit more varied.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and even though, again, Supreme Court is not a popularity contest, they are supposed to be isolated and unbiased. The purpose of these amicus curiae is for people who have legal background to make their statements on how they believe the court should rule. It is a professional statement.
Well, the briefs are written by lawyers, but they're written on behalf of individuals,
mm-hmm.
groups, or organizations who have a vested interest,
correct,
in the determination of the case, not necessarily any legal interest.
Yes, but either way, what I am trying to say about it is that while this is not like the popularity of a court case one way or other should have absolutely no bearing on how the courts rule. just ask Kyle Rittenhouse.
Right.
But at the same time, the whole purpose of the amicus briefs is to let the court know essentially the scope of it within the United States, because that should be considered. And so the fact that the amicus is so positive, I think, is the reason why New York is throwing this out there. And this is a absolutely terrible law, because I just think about like my day. I used to be the guy that would like if I'm wearing pants, I'm also wearing a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started...
and Oddball, if you are wearing clothing, how many knives do you have on you?
At least one.
Come on!
If not 5 or 6.
I was going to say that I would go with at least 3 if you're dressed.
If I'm properly dressed, yeah, 3 at least.
I'm not sure what properly means in this context, but that's a different conversation.
But then I started working.
Well, PJs.
Yeah. Then I started working for a company that didn't allow firearms in there, and it was one of those in Massachusetts. That's not illegal. I could carry at that my that place of work, and there would be no legal implication against me, except for I could get fired for this, which could be very sticky as in a professional career. So I elected to follow that recommendation as much as I disagreed with it. But that creates very much a chilling factor, because it's one of those, I might go home and then go and run some errands, or I might go out with some of my coworkers after work, or I might meet my wife in the city for something. And, and so essentially I am disarmed the entire time. There was no avenue for me. We didn't have like lock boxes or anything like that. I couldn't lock it in my vehicle because I took the train in. And so that we create that chilling factor. And the same thing goes now that I have a daughter who goes to public school, and public schools are gun-free zones, and it is a felony if you get caught there. And so
now, just to derail you for a moment,
please.
2 particular pieces of legislation in Tennessee were introduced and passed years back to address those very real concerns. One was called the Guns in Parking Lots Law, colloquially. And basically it was your employer could legally ban firearm possession inside their place of business. However, they could not ban firearm storage in a private vehicle in their parking lot. So if you had the permit, you could have your firearm on you, drive to work, store it properly in your vehicle, go into work, you'd be fine, come out, re-access your firearm, drive home. That was number one. And the same thing was true if you were a customer of a posted business. They could not ban firearms in their parking lot, only inside the place of business. The other one was schools. An adult can have a firearm in their vehicle, either stored in the vehicle or on their person, on school grounds, as long as the firearm is not handled by anyone while the vehicle's on school grounds. And if it's on the person never sets foot outside the vehicle while the vehicle's on school grounds. So you're dropping your daughter off at school and you're not going to get out of the car, the gun can be on you.
Mm-hmm.
You're dropping your daughter off at school and you think that you might have to walk inside for something, you just have to put it in secure storage before you cross the border of the property. I thought that was more a fairly sensible set of laws.
And I did want to correct one thing with the NYSERPA versus Bruin case. And I just posted a link to the SCOTUS blog to the appropriate spot. There actually have been a boatload of folks that have filed in support of the state for that case. Coincidentally, they pretty much all filed their brief on September 21st.
Yeah, go figure. Is that we read all the amicus briefs in New York State Rifle, so you don't have to?
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's links to all the briefs if you so desire to read them all. But it's got links to all of them and the day that they were filed.
That's very interesting. But yeah, but like I was saying, the chilling effect is very much real. Like now that I am, stuck to interact with, gun-free zones on a regular basis, it definitely has affected how often I am carrying. And certainly in places like New York, where public transit is marvelous and the best way to get around. Well, if you can't ride on the subway or eat, and every time you do any one of these things that is prohibited, well, it increases the amount of time where, like, all right, well, yeah, if I can't, carry a gun in a post office, well, that also means I can't carry a gun if I'm walking to the post office. Or I can carry a gun at my friend's house, but I can't carry a gun if I'm riding the subway to my friend's house.
Right.
What was that?
Opening a bottle of soda.
Okay.
But
it's Oddball's fault.
it is Oddball.
Next time, don't use your microphone to open the bottle.
Like those are,
Well, if it was a pop top, I would have used my my 1911. You know the image I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know if I've seen the 1911 one. I know I've seen people using a Makarov to open a beer.
Hold on. Find that image. There it is.
Hello, computer.
Well, I just have two images right. Hoppy. I just want to make sure I was in the right chat. There it is. So it has to be a 1911 with a lanyard loop on
The Skull Crusher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the skull denter. But based on the attire of the soldier, of the major, I should say, or lieutenant colonel, in that picture, that's Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought you guys would enjoy this Korean War photograph.
Just because they say Korean War doesn't mean it is. I was just basically reinforcing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've also seen this one with the caption that it's a Vietnam.
Oh,
photo.
yeah. And that's not
Or
the
World
correct
War
hat.
II.
Yeah.
Right. Or jacket.
That's an awful
Right.
cold day in Vietnam.
Yes, but I've also seen it listed as World War II. Because he's got a 1911, it must be World War II.
Yeah.
So I was just reaffirming that, yes, this one that I chose, and I chose that one because the caption was Korea. But apparently it could get chilly in the highlands of Vietnam.
Yeah.
For a jungle. Anywho.
Yeah, let's let's dive down the rabbit hole that is SHOT Show, without diving too much into stuff that we touched on the mag dump. So
the link to the Franklin Armory Glock binary trigger, which we're going to get to first,
mm-hmm.
we should probably put a warning that is a link directly to a YouTube video.
Okay,
They'll figure it out.
Well, yes, they will figure it out. But that's why I always try to put PDF warnings on my links.
Mm-hmm. But
anywho,
yeah, Franklin.
Yeah, but there's no way I can see this going wrong.
Oh well, we shall see. Franklin Armory is developing because it's still in prototype phase, at least as far as SHOT Show goes. Though I gotta say, first up, I want to say I been watching the coverage of SHOT Show, and I'm starting to get the itch. I'm starting to feel like maybe next year I should head out to SHOT. So, what would you guys think?
I'm there, assuming I can afford to get there.
Yep.
I mean, I've wanted to go to SHOT Show since probably sometime in the 80s when I first read about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's that.
And of course, I ask you guys, while we're recording, because listeners, reach out to us if you think we should hit SHOT. If you've been to SHOT and you love it and it's really great, reach out to us, encourage us, make the sale.
We could go out drinking with Ian.
Yes,
I'd be the designated driver if we had a vehicle, or the designated defender, regardless.
Oh man, what would say you about staying at Circus?
I'd rather stay at the Silverton.
I don't know. What's the Silverton?
The Silverton, it's a off-strip hotel,
mm-hmm.
and it has I believe at the time it was built, the second largest Bass Pro Shops in the hotel.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep. That was how my wife convinced me to stay in a casino hotel when we went to Vegas.
I get
She was like, we could just stay at like a Marriott or something. She's like, we're going to Vegas. You need to stay in a casino. I'm not really a fan of casinos. It's just...
Oh, you would be for.
And then she showed me the link to the Silverton, and I'm like, "Son of a bitch, I'm in." And I don't know what the timestamp was, but sorry, Weer'd, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I think that one's okay. But but Circus to quote Hunter S. Thompson, Circus is what the whole darn world would be like if the Nazis had won the war.
What?
It's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I know the quote.
Yes.
But
it doesn't make sense.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say,
although apparently there's a fantastic restaurant in there.
Well, it's Vegas. They all have fantastic restaurants.
Well, as in, like, I remember there was Deviant Olem and Carl did a couple video chats at a table
back,
at that restaurant in Circus, and
The steakhouse?
They were. I think. No, I think they were having seafood, but
Well, they do serve seafood at
I
steakhouse.
I could be wrong, but maybe it was the steakhouse. But they were commenting about how the rest of the hotel was trash, but that was a really nice restaurant and was really affordable.
Well, according to the Circus Circus website, they have 5 restaurants. They've got the steakhouse, which is called the Steakhouse.
Oh, okay.
They've got the pizza place, which is called Pizzeria. They've got the Mexican place called the Blue Iguana, a deli called West Side Deli, and the Circus Buffet, traditional Vegas buffet. And
I'm guessing it was the steakhouse.
Yeah, the steakhouse also says mesquite grilled steaks, prime rib, lobster, and crab legs. And I think they have the crab legs.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But if I'm going to a Vegas buffet, I want there A, to be an ice sculpture, and B, a brawl to break out.
I had one, but not the other. Though the one time that I went to Vegas, I went to the Bacchanarium at Caesar's Palace, and it was.
For our listeners who do not get that reference, you need to read the Monster Hunter International series by Larry Correa. All will become clear.
Yes,
but there was an ice sculpture, but no brawls broke out.
At least not while you were there.
And it was lunchtime, and we had gone to Circus, and we had walked from Circus to Caesar's Palace, which is not a short distance. And when I was going there, I was like, you know what? It's a hot day. I could go for a beer. And my meal ticket did include a beer. And so they said, your meal ticket includes a beer. What would you like, sir? I said, what are my options? And I don't remember what the options she gave me were, but I said, I'll have water.
So according to Google Maps, from Circus to Caesar's Palace is just under 2 miles if you walk down the strip.
So about halfway as long as we had to walk to get to the press room at NRA Nashville.
All right.
Or about 17 blocks in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's shoot down those. So the Glock binary trigger, Franklin Armory, they're the guys that really did they invent binary triggers?
I don't know if they invented it, but I'm pretty sure they popularized it.
I mean, yeah, they're certainly the name that I think of when it comes to binary triggers.
Yeah, from what I've been led to believe, binary triggers actually started on the skeet shooting side of things.
That makes sense.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Pull to fire the first barrel, release to fire the second barrel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that there were released triggers going back quite a ways. I mean, to the black powder era. There were basically, it was the same concept as a set trigger. You would pull the trigger to set it, and then a very gentle release would fire.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I've seen some on some of the historical weapons articles or channels or whatever.
Okay.
So that concept existed, but not until later. Like you said, it would make sense with the skeet to have it fire on pull and fire on release.
Also, I gotta say,
with a double barrel shotgun, you're not getting any further than that.
I don't know the I haven't done that much experiments with the biomechanics of it. And of course, as we all know, if we've taught new shooters that jerking a trigger is very easy to do and very easy to overlook. And but I'm wondering if it seems like it would be a whole lot harder to jerk a trigger on release than on squeeze.
Because you've handled an HK-P7?
No, not directly.
How would you handle one indirectly?
Oh wait, no. I was thinking the MP7.
No, P7 squeeze cocker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So to pull that back doesn't take a lot of strength, but it's noticeable. Mm-hmm. It's like a compound bow where it rolls over. And then once you've got it pulled all the way back, it's easy to hold back. But when you release, there's almost no effort in easing up on them. And that was the same concept this was for like muzzleloader black powder target shooting. Yeah. The ones where you would lie on your back and prop the barrel between your toes.
Yes. Why? How do you do it?
I do not.
All right.
So anyway, so a binary trigger, and I've installed several at work for customers, and then of course I have to test fire because I have to make sure that they're safe, because not every binary trigger is compatible with every receiver, every bolt. There's various things, and I can understand the entertainment value. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I understand the allure. And I did get showered with brass at a blog shoot by someone's binary trigger AR while I was trying to fix somebody else's lever action. I'm not naming any names, but yeah. And I've also been showered with brass from someone's full auto 9mm at a blog shoot, not naming any names. And there really wasn't a tremendous amount of difference in the brass showers.
No.
And I also have seen people with binary triggers get a good rate of fire and decent accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be done.
However, that being said, those were on rifles with 3 points of separated contact. On a handgun, this seems like a good way to shoot birds.
And I will note that in the YouTube video that's in the show notes, they Franklin Armory made sure to bring in SBR'd Glock 17.
Well, they're not stupid. They might be crazy, but they're not stupid.
There is at least one video on the internet of someone bump firing a Glock without a.
Oh, you can bump fire any repeating shotgun, any repeating firearm.
Yeah, as I said,
I remember there was when the whole bump fire thing was starting to go crazy. There was a fellow who had a video on YouTube specifically to show exactly how to do this, and that it didn't require anything special. He had an AK, and he showed like 3 different bump fire techniques, none of which required any change to technology. Yeah, and at one point, he's bump firing the AK, and he's got it. It's going fairly slowly for a bump fire, and he just turns and looks at the camera. Just turns his head, looks at the camera like, ah. So I mean, like I said, I understand the allure, but the safety concern on a handgun for me.
Right, and of course, these types of devices would go away overnight.
Oh,
and all Congress would have to do is just make one little repeal.
They don't have to even repeal all of it.
Yeah,
I mean, if they just repeal the SBR SBS side,
well, I mean
that would the whole arm brace thing would disappear. That industry would vanish on the face of the earth.
Right.
Honestly, if they repealed the whole thing, which would be preferable, get rid of the whole NFA, but they can't do that because if they get rid of the NFA, that gets rid of the FFA and the GCA.
Honestly, if I'm fairly positive, if they just got rid of the Hughes Amendment, that would kill any desire. That would kill pretty much 95% of the desire for bump stocks, binary triggers.
Right. I mean, they would still exist because either people live in states where those are legal but full auto isn't,
right?
Or because honestly, if it wasn't for the Hughes Amendment, full auto would be very little more expensive than semi-auto. I mean, if you look at old pre-86 catalogs showing AR-15s and M16s, and there's like a $60 to $100 difference in price.
Yeah, and really that $60 to $100 difference in price is more marketing. We know we can get you for the extra money than actual cost of manufacture.
Well, it was also, there were a lot more AR-15s, for example, on the market than M16s.
Yeah.
So there was still a supply and demand issue, just not government fiat, artificial. But if they just got rid of the Hughes Amendment, the price of full auto would drop to reasonable levels, and the federal government would be making, through the ATF Form 4, and possibly Form 1, I'm not sure if there's other legislation preventing making full auto yourself without the Hughes Amendment, as long as they proper forms. But anyway, there would be masses of people submitting at least Form 4s for their new full auto. And it's kind of like the popularity of suppressors shot up over the last decade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To the point that is from a couple of murmurs from folks inside the ATF. That is actually the main reason the ATF is trying to go all electronic with Form 4s.
And sorry, the exact video I was thinking was not of a Beretta, or not of a Glock. It's actually of a Beretta.
Oh yes, that one. That is a big boy.
That is a big man.
I wonder if he's still alive.
Yikes!
That was like the line that John Patton said about like the most dangerous thing in my life is not that I own guns, it's that I'm fat.
Yeah.
Number one cause of early death in men, I believe, or in Americans.
I think it's just everybody in general. It's
but is obesity. So, Glock binary trigger. Any other comments we want to make as the peanut gallery?
Don't.
Well, I honestly, like I said, frankly, if you really want to and you know what you're getting yourself into, et cetera, then cool. But honestly, binary triggers in general kind of give me the heebie-jeebies because of the whole, okay, I've pulled the trigger back and now the gun will fire if I just simply relax.
Yes, unless you engage the safety before you release the trigger.
Right, but
that's going to go smoothly every time.
Yeah, it's one of those things of if you really want to, okay, it gives me the heebie-jeebies in a rifle, much less a pistol. And
in a rifle, like I said, it's having installed several of them and test fired several of them is because I have to go through all the different permutations for them.
Mm-hmm. Now that said,
they are, like I said, I understand the allure, but
that said, also I have to appreciate that Franklin Armory is apparently largely in the business of trolling the ATF, and that makes me giggle.
Yes, good for them.
I mean, just trolling in general, because also they came up with, as far as I can tell, it doesn't work because it came out. They released they had the prototype at the NRA annual meeting. Like, what's that? Like 3 years ago now. The Franklin Armory Providence, I believe it is, which is the manually operated AR pistol caliber carbine thingy.
Yeah.
And that super duper cool design, but as I've always thought about, how does it deal with extraction? Essentially the idea being that it's essentially like a double action revolver. It's kind of like a cross between a double action revolver and an open bolt submachine gun. Because it is or an open bolt machine gun, because essentially you pull the trigger and it draws the bolt back, and then the bolt slams forward. The bolt has a rotating head like an AR-15, and so the bolt head hits the trunnion, rotates into the lock position, and then the hammer will drop and discharge the round. But there's no gas system, so the bolt stays locked until you pull the trigger, and that will unlock the action, extract the round, and then slam it forward again. And so that
sounds like with all that mechanical disadvantage, that trigger is going to be less than pleasant.
Yeah, I got to imagine, what would it be like shooting? It's the one that they have is a 9mm. What would it be like shooting Wolf or Tula ammo steel case out of that?
Or even just you have a misfire, and now you've got to. Obviously you could always manually cycle it, but the idea is with a revolver, you get a click instead of a bang, just pull the trigger again. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the idea with this thing. I just can't imagine that being pleasant. But as a thumb in the eye to the ATF, I support it 100%.
Yeah, and like California, Massachusetts, and all of that. Like,
oh yeah, New York.
Like, I mean, it's like I've got a shotgun with a bayonet lug on it, and I could put a folding stock on it and a pistol grip and all that stuff because it's a Mossberg 590.
It's fine.
It's not. It's a manually operated gun, and so therefore, no laws apply to this one. Same thing was said. I could own that
unless it was one of the ones that was modified to take box magazines.
Nope.
In the magazine capacity.
The magazine
capacity. Box magazine. Yeah, that's the only thing that I would.
Yeah,
you couldn't have an 11-round box magazine.
That's correct.
Shot.
That's correct.
That's the only thing. But come on, how many of those are there?
There's a couple, but they're expensive.
Non-semi-automatic.
Yes.
There's the Mossberg and the Remington, and there are probably some Turkish made rebranded for local sales, but manually operated box magazine shotguns, not a whole lot of options. But that's going really off.
Speaking of manually operated guns, David, do you want to talk about this next one here?
I like the looks of these. This is the next generation of revolver speed strips from Zeta 6 manufacturing. And they've got a trio, it looks like, of these things. There's a traditional speed strip.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the basic straight line.
I believe they put a little bit more space in.
Yes, they're a little wider space. They're actually it's 2 larger space, 2 larger space 1, or 2 larger space, 2 larger space 2, depending on whether it's a J frame or K frame. But they also have actually these are just they also have a 3-2 and 3-3 layout, where it's 3 cartridges. It's a little wider than a traditional speed strip, but it's the 3 cartridges are held in a slight crescent so that all 3 of them can slip into the chambers, and you pop it off, flip it around, and do the other 2. And I like that. And then they have basically if a speed strip and a speed loader had an illegitimate child. So, or actually no, if a speed strip and a moon clip had an illegitimate child. Because it's the 5 or 6 rounds in the traditional ring style, pop them all in, and then yank the tab.
Yeah, there's a pull tab.
And hopefully the rounds stay in.
I've never had a problem.
Well, with a traditional speed strip, no, but with all 6 or all 5 at the same time, I could see something getting lifted up.
Maybe.
It would just take some practice, that's all.
Yeah, I think.
But I like the look of it.
Do it because you're torquing them against the side of the chamber walls. Yeah.
Or, according to Smith & Wesson terminology, charge holes. I am not making. But I do like the look of them, and I think that would be especially the 3-3 or 3-2 style. I think that would be a really good compromise between a traditional speed strip and a speed loader. So you're getting a slimmer package like a speed strip, but you're getting faster loading like half moon clips, basically. I like that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments on that one? Weer'd, you're the other major revolver guy.
I think I'm good. I mean, it's also another thing I like about the essentially the speed loader style ones is they are considerably less bulky than a speed loader. That's one of the big issues that I have with revolver carry is how to carry the reloads.
Right. Well, they're smaller in height,
and the price point is not bad at all.
No, and in addition to being smaller and less expensive, they have 0 moving parts. So there's no button to get bumped. There's no knob to twist the wrong way, which are all things I've heard people complain about speed loaders.
Yeah, and I've seen similar solutions where, and I mentioned that because I've seen similar solutions where they said, yeah, the price point is going to be like $20-25 each, and it's
as opposed to $12 for a HKS speed loader.
Right, and these are depending on what you're getting, either a $10 for a 2-pack or $12, which that's not bad at all.
Yeah, equal to or less than the price of a traditional speedloader.
Mm-hmm.
Less than obviously is preferred. But just looking it up right now is on the Midway USA website, speedloaders are $9.99. So if they can put those things out for $10 or less,
for a 2-pack.
Yes. If they could put them out for $12 for a 2-pack, they would still get a lot of purchases. But,
right, yeah.
But 2 of those for the price of one of the HKS. And I chose HKS because they are the budget speed. The other speedloaders that I've seen are more expensive. So yeah, I like that idea.
All right, Oddball, you have to take one.
Take the next one.
So the
check it out.
Hardy har har. So the Czech CSV9, which some folks have seriously suggested that no, you need to put a round barrel shroud with holes in it and dub it the Czech 9.
Sorry. I thought you were going to be making a comma separated values joke.
No. I was going with the Czech 9 joke, which I have to agree with them completely.
Yes.
As you might have guessed, is a pistol that had a 9mm pistol with the magazine forward of the trigger guard. That very much looks like, what if they decided to build a Tech 9 today?
Just one question. Based on the imagery, without even reading the text, what type of magazines does it look like that takes?
It looks like it does, in fact, take Glock magazines.
It does take Glock magazines.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Which, as we talked about in the mag dump, and I went on a little bit of a rant, just a tad bit of one.
But you love the Glock magazine design.
I mean, at least it works, but it's still a terrible design. But if you can use a magazine that somebody else has already done all the engineering for you, and it works, why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And especially when you can go with a magazine that is dirt cheap and super plentiful.
Plentiful is the key. That's why a lot of the in the homemade gun designs, people are making like semi-auto only, perfectly legal tube guns. The receiver is a tube O metal with holes cut in.
Yeah,
and for the longest time, if you were doing one in 45 ACP, it was taking grease gun magazines.
Yep,
because they were super plentiful and cheap.
Yep,
not so much anymore, but at the time.
The one that the example that they were showing off at the show has a wee little quad rail on the front of it.
It is very cute. It looks like it has an AR style flash hider.
Yes. Which again, if you're going to put a flash hider on something and you can get away with not completely copying, because a 9mm ain't going through an AR flash hider, but
there are 9mm ARs with that flash hider, so they're using something that already exists in comics.
Right. Yeah.
Which, right to the magazine. Because if anyone's building a 9mm PCC that's going to have a flash hider on it, it's that one. Or one based on, it's going to have that diameter and that threading.
Yeah. And you know that flash hider is going to be fairly effective, and et cetera, et cetera. Why
reinvent the wheel? Although I do think it's interesting is that they did not go with an AR style pistol.
That's true.
That must have been a conscious choice.
And it might have been, there was probably some design reasons for that. It might have been that they needed the extra material for rigidity with the way way that particular part is,
because the receiver looks like it's, I don't know, steel or aluminum, but the lower part of the receiver looks definitely polymer. Also, if you look at the pistol grip, it looks like there is a very low positioned mag release.
There is, and in other pictures, let's see. Here we go. This one right here.
So I was wondering if that was spare magazine storage.
It is. So there's a picture of
Very
one
clever.
with one back there.
My only problem with that, and I think it's a very clever concept, is people who are not practicing with it enough, if they don't have a spare magazine in the pistol grip, will attempt to reload by inserting a spare magazine into the pistol grip.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's honestly one of those things that even as even when converted to a short barrel rifle, or in a rifle configuration or using an arm brace or whatever, I maybe with using an arm brace, but I'm kind of the opinion that I really prefer pistol caliber if you're using a pistol magazine. Just put the magazine in the pistol grip.
Yeah. Again, there are pros and cons.
Yeah, this looks really freaking cool. And I'm sure with an arm brace or SBR'd, I'm sure it's freaking awesome.
Yeah. But it's a straight blowback, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the issue. If the magazine fed through the pistol grip and it's a straight blowback, then the receiver has to be longer.
Right. Yeah, that would
Whereas the magazine forward, the bolt is still that length, but it has the room to move back without coming another 6 inches towards the user's face.
Yeah, there is that. Like you said, there are trade-offs.
Yeah, everything's a compromise. But it does look really cool, and I do want one.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I want one. I probably won't get one because I think I saw the price point on it, and I want to say it's something like $2,000.
It is not Tech 9 prices.
That's a big no.
Yeah, it's. All luck to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that they are successful enough to get enough production volume to bring the prices down. But honestly, if I was going to get something like that at this point, I'd get a Ruger Charger pistol.
Yeah, or
9mm PCC version.
Or if I was going to, once you get into that price point, you're also looking at, I think you're also looking at some of the lower end BNT models.
Yeah, but I'm not looking at that price point. I'm looking at that effectiveness.
Yeah.
Oh, the PC Charger. That's what I was thinking. PC Charger.
Yeah, it's a very neat gun, and also there's the thing of, as we've discussed, apparently there's a good bit of, if you are designing a gun from the ground up, there's a lot of weapons categories where you're just gonna be looking at that kind of price point to make any sort of profit. So
yeah, I mean, it's just you have to amortize research, development, and tooling costs.
Yeah,
there's no two ways about it. And if you set your MSRP too low, it's going to take so long to amortize those startup costs that you're effectively losing money, even if you're making a profit on each item.
Yeah.
But the MSRP on the Ruger PC Charger, $869.
Well, and quite frankly, there's a lot of folks that are looking at that type of gun that are looking at spending that kind of money on that kind of gun. So,
and I hope they find this Czech pistol.
Yeah,
they really, really do. The more options we have in the market, the better. Even if it's not something that I particularly want, I still want it to be out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess, Weer'd, the next one's yours?
Yeah.
Speaking of things that aren't cheap.
Yes, aren't cheap and are weird is the, let's see, what company is doing it? Is it a smaller company? I'm trying to remember. Let's see.
There was another.
Is it actually a different? I thought it was somebody had just straight up resurrected the brand.
Bought the Automag company.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but again, we just kind of hinted on it. The 44 auto mag is allegedly coming back. We will see. I'm always skeptical because it could be like the Bren 10. They were totally going to make those, and they really didn't.
Well, how often have we heard this is coming?
Oh yeah, this is definitely not the first time it's been allegedly resurrected.
Oh,
but yeah, so the new auto mag is coming back. It's a gas operated rotating bolt, gigantic handgun, and this one specifically is chambered in 44 AMP, which is essentially a cut down 308 brass that's been necked up to 43 caliber. And,
well, technically, actually, once it's cut down, the necked portion of the case is gone, so it's actually cut down and then necked down to not very much. It's got a very, very small shoulder, but when cut down, the straight line cartridge is close to 50 caliber.
Yeah,
I forget the exact dimension. Because you can cut down 308 brass and make it into 45 ACPs. Just got to give it a little bit of a squeeze. And there were I believe the Roland cartridge is based off of 308 brass cut down, or is that based off of 45 Win?
I don't remember.
Yeah, too many options.
Too many options. But that's all I really had to say about that one.
Yeah, but it is cool. I would love to see that come back. I will never be able to afford one, but I'd like to see one come out onto the range and get a chance to shoot it.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, I just looked on their website, and you can place an order with them right now
for the low price of
the cheap edition, the classic edition, 6.5 inch.
Mm-hmm.
Is low price of $3,000, $495.
So $3,500.
So $3,500, and
plus shipping.
And let's see. They've got an 8.5 inch version for $3,800, and the 6.5 inch Raven edition for $3,900.
Now, one of the things I'm curious about with this, is it close enough for some parts interchangeability with the originals? Specifically the magazines, because a guy came into the store some point last year. His father had passed away, and they were going through the house, and they found his firearm collection, which included an auto mag and a Weer'd.
Ooh. See, the Weer'd's the one I want.
But they could not locate the magazines.
Ah.
So he had really expensive, really nice single-shot pistols. He actually had a magazine for one of them custom-made for the gun, which was extremely expensive.
Oh.
But I think it was for the Weer'd. But if the new auto mags if they're using the same technical data package, the same blueprints and specs, then that's an instant market for parts.
I will say that according to their website, they say, talking about the Raven in particular, incorporates over 40 improvements from the original production automag.
Right, but what does that mean as far as parts compatibility is another question.
Right.
Even if they only had 40% parts compatibility, if they are some of the parts that are in demand for replacement, some of the higher wear parts, and honestly, the improvements could just be metallurgy and heat treat and not dimension.
Right, or they may have discovered that, having the feed lips at slightly tighter, slightly looser,
right, slightly different dimension at the feed lips means we're getting less feed problems.
Or the ramp really should have been at a different angle or something like that.
Yeah, this bearing surface should have been radiused to this. Yeah, little things like that as well. But it would be interesting to find out because, like I said, if they have enough in-demand parts commonality with the originals, there will be owners of originals buying parts from them.
Oh, God, yes.
I mean, like I said, even if it was just the magazines, do you know how many... I mean, magazines are the most perishable part of a semi-automatic. Or any magazine-fed arm, for that matter. So I guess I'll jump on the next one since I just added it in. Is that EOTech, long known for their quality electronic optics, has introduced a pistol-size red dot. So it's the new EFLX mini reflex sight, and I mean it's a red dot. There's not really much to talk about with reflex red dots. They're everywhere now, but this is a new player on the field. And one of the things, it's designed for pistol use. The EFLX base is configured to the Leopold Delta Point Pro footprint.
Ah, okay.
And here is just one of the things that I am really curious about moving forward, is because honestly, pistol red dots are the future. I'm not entirely comfortable with them myself yet because, I'm an old fuddy-duddy apparently. But I know that they are the future, and I know that it's me, not them.
Right.
But we got in a canic for the range counter and a red dot to mount on it, and it came with 8 different mounting plates.
Yeah. Well, and there are some companies that have just said, yes, this is cut for sights, buy our gun, and then let us know which plate you need. What sight you're wanting to mount, and we'll send you the correct plate.
Right. But I was going to say is with the canic is it comes with 8 plates, and they also do that. If the plate you want is not included for the optic that you have, contact us and we'll send you the correct. And it's like, okay, this is something that needs to be worked out in the industry.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that caught my attention when I was looking at this, is the fact that EOTech is cutting their base for another company's footprint.
Right.
That's a really good sign in my book.
Right.
And I don't have a dog in this hunt. I don't have a preferred footprint. But if everyone could just agree, that would be awesome. It would be good for the manufacturers. It would be good for the consumers. Just guys, get together, agree on something. You agree on SAMI specs when you make ammunition. You can agree on this. But it also mentions it's not magnified, obviously, but it's also useful on rifles. It's supposedly durable. It has a 3 or 6 MOA dot. Top load battery. Thank you so much.
That is a good move.
Yeah.
It's a 2032 battery, which is I believe the most common battery for red dots.
Common, yeah.
Yeah. And according to their listing, that's 20,000 hours of runtime at, is that just, so there's an asterisk
and
after 20,000 hours, and there's no, what's the asterisk for?
Yeah,
it's probably at the lowest power setting.
Yeah, they just copy and pasted the press release and didn't get
go to the EOTech website.
Yeah. And that's, and it being EOTech, I wouldn't be shocked if it's one of those where, if the pistol hasn't been jiggled in X amount of time, it goes to sleep to conserve battery power.
Yep. Oh, and it wasn't in the press release, just went to the site. The MSRP for the base level EFLX or eFlex, $389.
That's not bad.
No.
The one that I have been really looking at getting, and I needed to get a new pistol to put it on first.
Here it is. So on the website, there are 7 daytime settings, 1 ultra bright setting, and 1 setting for Gen 1 through 3 night vision. And it says, and it can adjust, it can switch between a 3 and a 6 MOA dot. The 20,000 hours is at the 6 MOA dot at brightness level 5. So not the lowest level.
Okay. Well,
25,000 hours, 3 MOA dot at brightness 5. So if you got that at the lowest brightness level, that's going to considerably increase battery life.
Right.
I'm not seeing anything in the description for auto off.
Now it's also the question of, are the first couple brightness levels, night sight safe brightness?
Well, it doesn't specify. It does say that there is one setting for Gen 1 through 3 plus night vision devices.
Okay.
But that's in addition to the 7 daytimes and 1 ultra bright. So there are 8 settings for daytime or ultra bright, plus 1 for night vision.
Nice.
Yeah, so...
But yeah, I was going to say the one that I've been seriously looking at to try this whole red dot thing is the Leopold Delta Point micro red dot, which is right at that price point. At Sportsman's Guide has it at right at $400 right now.
Yeah, so comparable. Oh, this is the one that mounts in the dovetail?
Yeah, this mounts on the dovetail, and actually, if the battery goes out on it, it basically turns into a peep sight,
right?
And is also is super low profile to the point that there's a decent chance that you can absolutely use your normal holster with it without.
Yeah, most holsters aren't going to be coming up all the way up to the rear sight, and this thing barely extends past where the front of the rear sight would be.
Right.
The only thing for those folks, if you're putting it on a Glock and you have the Glock thing, not compatible.
Yeah, that's not
because this overhangs the back of the slide.
And also, obviously, they'll never come out with a version of that for any hammer-fired gun, because, well...
for reasons.
The battery will get in the way.
Yep.
And so far, I think they've only come out with it for the Glock 1917.
Right, that was my next question was going to be, is it only for Glock?
And I believe they've also come out with it for this. Well, I know they've come out with it for the M&P.
They have made a version for the M&P.
Yeah, when they announced it, they said they were coming out with those two.
Okay, I remember seeing pictures, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. I might have to check one of those out for my M&P.
Yeah, and I think they recently announced that they're going to come out with it for the 43, for the Glock 43.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, once they make it for any of the Glocks, it's a minor change to make it for any of the other Glocks.
Yeah, they had to change the dimension some for the 43,
But talking about red dot footprints, why, in the name of all that's holy, do we not have a rear sight dovetail stand?
God, yeah,
that is interesting.
Or, quite frankly, a front sight dovetail. I mean, four guns that have front dove sights.
Yeah. So why do we not have a sight dovetail standard?
Because it is Lee-Hard.
What?
I am retired.
Oh, retired. Okay.
Well, take a nap.
Yeah, and Oddball, I think that you are eager to take the next one on the list after the red dot. Yes.
I like it. I mean,
or is that more Weer'd was really thrilled about that one?
Sure, which is
this is one that Ryan and I have been talking about on Handgun Radio.
It looks like a single action, but it's not.
Yep. The Diamond Kicks Diamondback Sidekick.
Oh, I was thinking of something else that was in.
Never
mind. Yeah, there's another 22 coming further along, but that's the one that Oddball's giddy about. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
It seems to have all the best parts. It looks like a cowboy action gun, but at the same time, it is a full frame swing out cylinder gun, so you don't have to worry about punching out each one of your empties and loading up each charge hole in a row.
Is it single or double action?
It is. Oh, it looks like a single. It looks like a single action, but it is absolutely double.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I like how they still have the ejector rod tube on the side of the barrel, but looks like there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me a lot of, was it H&R or High Standard? Had something very much like this. It was a single action Army style 22 with a swing out cylinder. It was High Standard, but they haven't made those for a while, so it's good to see something like this coming back, because they were popular in there.
I'm honestly kind of the opposite opinion as Weer'd. I'm kind of the opinion that this is, let's be honest, this is a range toy.
Oh, absolutely.
Which nothing wrong at all with that at all. I just I'm personally of the opinion that if you're going to have a range toy 22 that looks like a single action, I'd rather have it operate like a single action. Obviously, Weer'd is 180 degrees on the other side of that circle from me.
I mean, I prefer double action.
Yeah, and that's why they sell both.
And this one kind of is both.
And this one kind of is both. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, I mean, I would rather have a double action that can run single action.
This one is very much like this one is very much like the thumb safety on my Sig P365. Do I need it? No. Do I want it? No. Just don't put it on then.
Yep. And
Yeah,
yes, it was the high standard 99.
Okay.
And wow, that looks like that Diamondback just got the specs for that. Here, I'll toss that in chat. You can take a look at some of these images. Really does look like the same gun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, but I mean, the 99 High Sierra came with interchangeable 22 long rifle and 22 Magnum cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the crane and the fact that the cylinder is opened up by pulling forward on the ejector,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and the right side of the frame, you can see there's that little step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really looks like the same gun.
Yeah.
I'm not bashing Diamondback for that at all.
I mean, you shouldn't, because High Standard doesn't make them anymore.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the pictures, it really does look like the same frame casting.
Yeah, it does.
But may I segue? Speaking
And
of,
it's a 9-shot, just like the High Standard. So well done.
speaking of guns that people do make.
Oh.
So yeah, so what was, let's see.
Well, let's start with historically. A few years ago, Browning decided that it was too expensive to make. There wasn't enough interest. They were going to drop the high power from their family pistols.
And then earlier this year, or no, it was last year, late last year, Springfield Armory offered the SA-35, which is it's not 100% a replica of the original Browning high power, but it is very, very, very close.
Now,
Yeah.
Girsan was making a high power clone before Browning dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I think it was Feg in
Yeah.
Hungary.
Yeah. FEG and TSOS.
TSOS, yeah. Which I thought Girsan was simply one of the marketing names for.
They might be.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, there were a couple of others that were making either licensed or unlicensed copies, either closer or farther away, before Browning dropped it, which was probably one of the reasons Browning said they were going to drop it, because they couldn't compete price-wise. I mean, the last year that the Browning high power was offered, the MSRP was like $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and honestly, let's be honest. You have the people that wanted the Browning high power because it was Browning high power.
Yeah.
And I have no argument against that. I understand that completely.
That's why you got one.
Yeah. And you and they're always going to want to get one. Whether it's a surplus one, used one, new one, whatever. You had with Browning and FN, they were making them for a couple militaries, and the most notable of which was the English, which I don't know if they had actually built a full one for the English in decades, but it was always a possibility.
You said English. I thought you said Inglis.
Oh,
which is
no.
the Canadian manufacturer. Yeah, I think the current production military contract, I think it was the Indian Army.
Well, I mean the British that was their issued sidearm until what, 2016?
Yeah,
Something like that.
And in colonial whatever colonial possessions they still have, it's still out there.
I think the Canadians still do.
Yeah, from 1935 to 2016 in the mainline British forces. That's a good run.
And as good as the design is, the folks getting into firearms today, spending that kind of money for a carry pistol or a competition pistol or whatever, with the competition of what else can you buy at or below that price point.
Yeah, I mean, also it's a single action steel or aluminum frame hammer fired pistol.
Yeah, which
much as I love my high power, much as I love my 1911s, the vast majority of market demand is for polymer frame striker fired guns.
Yeah, I would not fault anyone at all for carrying a high power right now.
When I first started working at the gun shop, they have a policy inside the waistband carry only. And I did not have an inside the waistband magazine carrier for my 1911. Yeah, I could have turned it around, but it was inside the belt, not inside the waistband.
Right.
So I was like, okay, that's limiting me to just the 8+1 in the gun. So I broke out my Browning high power because it worked with one of my inside the waistband holsters, and that gave me 13 or 15+1.
Yeah.
And since I didn't expect to actually need one, hopefully that worked.
Right. But the price point that Browning was asking for it was, I think that's what was killing it. Now, if they may have needed to have that price point to actually turn a profit, I don't know. But I do know that Browning seems to be very proud of having its name on something.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, that is not what we were talking about here.
No, we were talking about the Girsan first.
Right.
Which is European American Armory is the importer. And it's got extended beaver tail to reduce hammer bite. People with meatier hands have complained about that basically since the introduction of the high power. It does have a ring. Yeah. Beveled, and they say flared. Honestly, it looks just more like it's beveled magazine well. Better sights, which wouldn't be difficult from the factory ones. Flat face trigger, ambidextrous safety. Basically, it's got the stuff that most competitive shooters were doing to their high powers for years. But this is fact.
Yeah. And frankly, from what I saw this year at SHOT Show, someone coming out with a high power was kind of the theme of the year.
Yes, indeed. So I guess that means we should move on to the next item on the list. Is someone else coming out with a high power?
Yeah, some little company I've never heard of.
Yeah, but are they actually bringing back the high power?
They're certainly not spelling it the same way.
No. It's just like Beretta and their 92. This is HI power instead of HIGH power. But I mean, from the exterior, it looks very much like the same form factor.
Except I will say, if you go on FN's website, they have the lineup of the guns. They have have a black, a stainless, and a tactical baby poop.
Yeah.
And they happen to show them all from the right hand side of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can clearly see the takedown lever on them, and oh boy, does that just foul the lines of that gun.
Well, they also have an ambidextrous slide release or slide lock. Terminology. You didn't notice that?
No.
Yeah, if you take a look, that is there. It's a slide lock on both sides, and that also does not really do good things for the lines.
No.
But yeah, I mean, taking a look, it's got a at the very front edge of that right-hand side slide lock, it's got a almost Beretta-esque takedown lever.
I don't know if it quite looks like a Beretta one to me, but Oddball.
It doesn't have the push button, but it looks.
Yeah.
It actually looks like the takedown lever for a Sig Sauer, like
on the wrong side of the gun.
Yes.
Whereas on a Beretta, that's where the takedown lever is located.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was saying Beretta-esque is position-wise. It doesn't have the push-button lock, but there may be a detent or something at the front end of that offside slide lock lever. I don't know. But yeah, that one of the biggest complaints for newer shooters for the 1911 and the Browning high power is that you have to take a part off of the gun to disassemble, because that's the kind of thing that is easily dropped and lost.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, in a field situation, a competition situation where you're outside. So that improvement is one that I can understand.
And actually, no, the takedown lever on this high power is on the right side of the frame, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, on a Beretta, it's on the left side.
Oh, okay. What was I thinking? Another.
I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
But yeah,
it's silly.
Yeah, we don't need to rag on it.
I mean, at least the MSRP is more reasonable than the last batch of True Browning high powers, right?
Next,
it's like $100 less.
A bargain. But
And the last iteration of the Browning high power that was on the market, they had an MSRP of like $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
And these have an MSRP of, what's that? Oh, it's not on the website anymore, unless I'm missing it. Yeah, they have an MSRP of $1,269, so they're less expensive. I was thinking of the Beretta 84 family.
Okay.
Because they do have the takedown lever on the right hand side.
Okay.
Right in front of the sear, right in front of and partially overlapping the sear.
all right, so
I knew I'd seen that on a Beretta somewhere.
This next one I actually find super duper interesting. I think it's still in prototype format, but Desert Tech has come out with
it's a twofer.
Yeah, so I mean, like one of those. Let's face it. The common joke for any trade show is, yet another AR-15, and this is yet another AR-15.
This year it's another high power.
But I really like where they're going with this. Is
Mm-hmm.
they have come out with a quad stack AR-15, and it's specifically designed to take quad stack magazines. And
it's a new lower receiver.
Yes, it's a new lower receiver, so the magwell is essentially double wide, and therefore it takes a magazine that is double wide.
I'm just gonna give my opinion here on this. Is I don't think the magwell is double wide. I think it's wider. It's absolutely wider, no question there. But the magazine does still neck down slightly when it goes into the magazine. So if you took, for example, I don't know if there is such a thing as a triple stack AR magazine. But if there was, this would be the scaled up version of it, because if you watch the video, it does have a slight neck where it enters the magwell. So the top portion of the magazine fits in the magwell, and the bottom portion of the magazine is just a little bit wider than the mag, as opposed to the quad stack going into the traditional lower receiver.
So, I mean, these things are...
I like this concept.
Yeah, these things are gigantic. They hold 53-round magazines. Oh, but what's the point? Well, the point is that Desert Tech is essentially courting... I mean, obviously, the civilian might take advantage of this, but but Desert Tech was pointing out the fact that some militaries are contemplating dumping the M249 SAW from units and possibly using a standard M16 M4 that is capable of sustained full auto fire.
Yeah.
And
now
I think this could, if it ends up working as well as they're claiming, because of course they're claiming they're modifying the magwell so that the gun will feed much better. And again, this magazine's not humongous as far as length goes, but it's got 53.
It's the same length as a 30-round magazine.
Yeah, but it holds 53 rounds, and therefore it's also super duper fast to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's obviously wider because it's a quad stack. And I was just looking at the Desert Tech website. The MSRP on the lower receiver, and I'm assuming this is a stripped lower, doesn't specify, is $299.99.
Cool.
So, not, for if you were going to get a high level billet lower, you'd be looking at close to that price. The thing that I do not like about their design is the cutouts. So they've got cutouts around the bottom edge of the magwell, on the front of the magwell, and also at the very top of the magwell, right below the port door.
Oh, yikes.
And that, to me, does not seem as thought out.
But I think this is a prototype, isn't it?
Well, this is what's on their website.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Sorry. So I just posted up the picture from their website, and you can clearly see the cutouts.
Yeah.
And the ones at the bottom edge, not a big deal. The one at the front, that's a great way to scoop gunk up into the chamber. But the one at the top,
But it's bad idea jeans.
Yeah.
But overall, the idea of this is the fact that you can carry it unlike drums.
Mm-hmm. If you're interested in drum magazines, go watch Ian's video on drum magazines.
Yeah, why drum magazines suck.
That should hopefully cure you of your desire for drum magazines.
Yes.
But yeah, actually looking at the website, their 53-round magazine is just a dash shorter than a 30-round PMag.
Oh, crazy.
According to their website, a PMag is 7.385 inches tall, and theirs is 7.323 inches tall. So just a scooch shorter. And actually, now that I'm getting a better look on their website, the magazine is not necked down. It is straight slab-sided magazine all the way up. So yeah, it is basically a double wide lower. And what I was seeing as the neck is just the very top where it goes to double. So I'm glad I went to their website because this clarifies some things that I wasn't quite clear on. What I was mistaking for the step down were the stops. So you can't over-insert it into the magwell.
Yep.
And the magazines, the 53-round magazines, are currently MSRP listed as $74.90. Now, compare that to a Magpul D60, which I think MSRP on those is like $130, $140. Anyone?
All right. But I think we're running short on time, so we gotta finish out these last ones. So
okay, this next one, this is the one that Oddball was giggling.
Yeah, this is Oddball.
Yeah, this one and this one. If you're wanting to go to their website, it's best to really go to the show notes and follow the link because it took me a while to find their website. It is the Ounce OZ pistol, and you can understand why just Googling that will get you nowhere near their website.
Yep, it's OUNCOZ.com.
Mm-hmm. It is a folding pistol that it's a folding 22 long rifle pistol that is supposed to easily fit in your pocket and is actually magazine fed and holds 10+1 rounds. It is a thoroughly goofy looking thing.
It reminds me of the little
It's not Dardic level of goofy though.
It looks like the little snub-nosed blasters that the scout troopers in Return of the Jedi carry.
If you make the barrel a little bit longer.
Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, they need to come out with one with a threaded barrel though. Just because.
I'm not entirely certain how that would work, but sure.
It would be a quick release.
Especially since
not threaded, quick release. So you pop it open and snap on the suppressor.
The barrel, not only does it flip out, it slides out as well when it comes out.
Right. So a quick release would work.
It would, and it's something that I would. it's definitely something that I would love to get my hands on just because of how goofy it is.
Well,
But
stay on Oleg's good side.
But the current MSRP on it is just killing me. And again, it's one of those things of, okay, I can understand someone spent a lot of time and money in engineering this sucker.
Yep.
But they're wanting, I want to say, $900 is MSRP.
Right. For a semi-auto 22 pistol.
For
glorified.
A gimmicky.
Yes. Now, have you watched the video on their website?
Yes, where the guy pulls it out of his pocket and
unfolds it
open,
fires it open.
Yeah.
What they don't show is changing the magazine. They show him unfold it, fire it, and then fold it.
It's true.
One thing I think they missed the boat on is in its folded configuration, it should have a pocket clip.
Yes.
Reversible, says the lefty. But yeah, they should have a pocket clip for that thing.
You know, it should have an LCP-22.
LCP-22 is not gimmicky, is it?
No, it's not, it's
this is a gimmick. We are talking gimmicky,
and it's not that much bigger, and it holds the same amount as the same ammo.
And how many of those could you get for the price of this?
But is it a transformer?
Yes. Is it a transformer? Starscream, you have disappointed me once again.
Come on, Weer'd. You know you want one.
I mean, it's so ugly and bad. Speaking of ugly,
we don't know if it's bad.
Speaking of ugly and bad, Oddball.
Oh dear!
Oh God,
Oddball, what have you done?
I did nothing.
I mean, the fact that this is actually on the list, it's kind of your fault.
Okay, the fact that it's on the list is my fault.
Let's not waste too much time with this one, but let's just say you can go to the show notes and you can look at this thing and decide for yourself.
CAA USA came out with a new
thing
that they claim is a pistol caliber carbine called the Agata.
Inagata Devita?
Yes, let's go with that.
No, it says its name, the Agata, is Hebrew for legend, and it promises to break with a 500-year-old rifle design tradition. Yeah, the design tradition that's worked.
Traditions sometimes exist for a reason, and being legendary is not always a good thing. But its claim to fame is that the designer decided, instead of having a rifle designed around the traditional or any of the traditional rifle stances, because those are horribly those aren't ergonomic at all and impossible for you to get in, which is why nobody can shoot a rifle like that.
Nope, not at all. It's too heavy.
He was going to design a rifle to be held when you are in a boxer's stance with your fists up, kind of like you were in a fighting stance.
I want to see someone make one for a pugilist stance. Victorian era pugilist. That would work just as well, I think.
Actually, this one, I'm pretty sure you could just grab the front grip, reverse. I think you could do that. Sort
of, but the side where the trigger is would work that way. Well, yeah, this thing is okay. If the folding 22 was goofy looking, this is just disturbing.
The folding 22 was at least in search of an answer in search of an actual question that actually existed.
Mm-hmm.
This, no.
This one is seeing a problem that doesn't exist and answering it and making it worse.
Yeah. Go to the show notes to see this pile. And no, I'm sorry, having your hands up like that. Ask anybody who's done any boxing, etc.
Martial arts at all.
Yeah. it doesn't take terribly long before just simply having your hands up in that position without any weight is tiring.
Well, if you ever watched a boxing match, one of the things that as the boxer gets tired, their fists will droop.
Yeah.
Leaving their face open. They're in the blocking stance, and then they're getting tired, and their arms are dropping, and they get a blow to the face.
Yep. And also having your hands in that exact position and keeping them in exactly that position and exactly that elevation, etc., is very difficult because there's nothing actually locking you there. Versus a traditional rifle stance where you're tucking your support elbow into your ribs, etc., and all that. But speaking of solutions for goofy solutions for a problem that people have been saying that they actually have had, since we're trying to hurry things up. Magpul has finally done the thing. So
they've done a thing.
What was it? Like 2012?
I think something like that. Yeah.
Magpul showed off at their booth this little folding short-barreled carbine that you could fold up, and they claimed looked like a goofy flashlight that you could stick in your back pocket, etc. And they said at that time, this was just something we were screwing around with, and it shows what we're capable of, but we have no intent of ever producing that. And ever since that video hit the internet, there have been people who have been asking, when are they actually going to put this in production? Completely ignoring the whole, we're never going to put this in production that was in the video.
Yeah.
This year, they have said they are going to be putting it in production.
It's a cooperation from Magpul and Zev.
Yeah. Now they have said they don't have a timeline yet on when it will be out. They do say that it definitely won't be ready for at least a year.
Yeah, they say it won't be ready for at least 12 months.
Luckily,
the gun-owning market is very patient.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's what we're known for.
We are patient, and we're willing to pay a fair price for a product.
Right. And they have announced and shown working models. I don't think they had actual firing models at the range day for the press, but they had working dummies at the booth for both a short barrel rifle version with a buttstock, and a pistol version that had the part that folded out is just straight with a clip on the back for a shoulder strap. So I expect there are going to be a ton of people who are very excited about this, and when it finally comes out, some of them might actually buy it.
And most of them will leave negative reviews.
And most of them will leave negative reviews. And if it wasn't
of the 100% that say they want it, 10% will actually buy it. Of those 10%, only 3 will leave reviews, and 2.9 of them will be negative reviews.
Right. And I'll be honest. If it wasn't for the tax stamp needed, I would probably be saving my pennies for the rifle version, the FDC 9, just because it just makes me giggle so much.
All right. Yeah. And then,
so just a couple of 2 minor items on the list.
Yes.
So, Oddball, you had added the second to last one.
Okay, I do have to bring us down a little bit. Unfortunately, I did read today that Mel Pardue died today. If you are unaware of who he was a major name in the knife design world and among other things, he designed the Benchmade Griptilian, which is kind of one of the iconic knives from Benchmade's line. So,
and it's also become kind of ubiquitous because a lot of people are copying it now.
Yeah. It's and I haven't seen the exacts about it, but it sounds like he passed away of old age.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so of course, heart goes out to friends and loved ones. However you feel about Benchmade itself,
mm-hmm.
He's been a major influence on the industry.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. So last item on the list is something to bring us up a little bit for entertainment purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from Rocky Mountain Reloading. They manufacture a variety of good quality bullets for reloaders, and this is the third time now that they have offered a special run of bullets with a logo imprint on the flattened nose. Previously, they did 9mm and 45 ACP. This time, it's 147 grain 357 for revolvers, 38 or 357. And the logo is the Monster Hunter International Team Happy Face, the smiling face with the little horns. Now, I don't know what the charity is this time, but the last two batches, they did this for fundraisers for, one time it was, I believe, Houston, Texas got hit by a really bad storm or somewhere in that area. And so they did it as a fundraiser to help those folks. The next time it was, or one of the other times it was for another similar type thing. I don't know what it is for this one, but they still, as of this date, January 24th, 2022, are still showing some in stock on their site. You can get them anywhere from bags of 500 to, assuming they have enough in stock, 21,000 bullet package. That's some serious reloading. I'd like to have enough components to do that.
Right.
So, but they're just fun. They're, like I said, they're good quality full metal jacket, open base bullets with the Happy Face logo stamped onto the nose. And while you're at the website, you can take a look at their other stuff because they do have good quality, good products. Obviously, these days, shipping and such are a little problematical, but it's not their fault. So just little happiness there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know what else makes me happy?
Our Patreon patrons.
That's right. Thanks to each and every our listeners in general, every one of our listeners, but a special thanks to the supporters on Patreon. If you want to become a Patreon patron, go to patreon.com/Assorted Calibers podcast to sign up. There you can get early release of the podcast, get it on Friday instead of Monday. You can get content that is the blooper reels, the off-topic stuff that we carve off of the shows. We also do the ACP film tracks, which is a movie track that you can watch a movie and you will hear members of ACP talking about what's going on the screen. And of course, we have the bonus show, which is the ACP Mag Dump. Also, please remember to rate us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe to us on the platform of your choice. And not only we can't rely on algorithms. Tell people that you like it. Online, off. Say, hey, I'm listening to this podcast. I like it.
And visit our Facebook and MeWe pages and tell us what you think.
Correct. I've got a blog, which is weirdworld.com, and I also am on Handgun Radio on the Firearms Radio Network. David, do you have something you want to plug?
I am also a contributor on Blue Collar Prepping, which is bluecollarprepping.blogspot.com. And I am actually in the midst of working on a cooperative multi-part series on assembling an AR.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Oddball, what do you have to plug?
I am working on trying to get the ice cream machine working over at gunscarstech.com, and that's about it for now. But
I hope you didn't get it secondhand from McDonald's, or it's never going to.
That might be my issue. But you can also always I do hang out on Facebook and MeWe, and if you guys have any questions or want anything to share, please feel free to do so on the ACP Facebook and MeWe groups.
Mm-hmm. And thanks to Nate Spencer for our music. And so, we didn't go to SHOT Show, but other people did. Our travel plans are assorted, and so's our podcast.
Nice. I think Aaron will be proud of you.
Well, good night, everybody.
Good night, folks. Everyone.